All right, that's 3 in a row for the Toronto Raptors as they take down the Dallas Mavericks with a dominant defensive effort. Kyle Lowry was awesome once again. Chris Boucher the same. 116-93, a 23-point win. The record now improves to 5-8. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Raptors Nightcap. Randy Urban alongside Jack Armstrong, Sherman Hamilton, and Paul Jones. Fellas, the Raptors have been hard-pressed to keep a team under 100, but they were able to do it against Dallas tonight. Jonesy, I'll start with you. Why? How?
This team learned how to win again, Randy. We've been talking about that, how they couldn't finish in close games. They got the lead tonight and didn't let it go. They made smart plays coming down the stretch, took good shots, and then the defense was terrific all night. And it started with cutting off the head of the snake. Nick Nurse went to the box and won, and Stanley Johnson is the perfect guy to play Luka Doncic. You remember, about 4 or 5 years ago, we saw Stanley Johnson giving DeMar DeRozan all he could handle when he was a member of the Detroit Pistons. Strong, physical, quick, relentless. And he was in Luka's kitchen all night. Frustrated Luka. You could see Luka throwing elbows at him, crying for calls. And the more he did that, the more it fueled Stanley Johnson. And I think it just had a trickle-down effect on the rest of the team. For Toronto, they hustled more, they worked harder. And for Dallas, they seemed to get deflated.
Sure, I know it says love over your left shoulder there, but not much love between Doncic and Stanley, as Jonesy was saying. How did you see that?
I like it that way, actually. I like the fact that there's a little bit of an edge on Stanley Johnson in terms of trying to defend a premier player in this league. You've got to, if you're going to be a good defensive player, you've got to have attitude. You've got to be that guy that feels like nobody can score on you. And I think Stanley Johnson had that attitude today. And let's tip our hats to OG Anunoby at the start of the game that did a very good job against Luka Doncic and was physical with him. And OG's ability to switch on to Porzingis and defend a bigger body, he was just awesome in this game. But for Stanley, I just think it's a great way for him to continue to acclimate himself, to get more minutes, to do it from the defensive side. And now Nick Nurse is looking at guys like OG and Stanley and saying, look, if someone gets it going, whether it be a guard or a bigger body, now there's two guys that they can throw at people and be physical and be able to defend scores on their opposing team. So Stanley's doing a good job taking advantage of his opportunities.
Jack, we'll get to Kyle in a moment, but I thought Pascal Siakam's third quarter really helped set the tone for the rest of the game for the Raptors. How was he able to turn around his game?
More decisive, played with more conviction. I thought he was flat in the first half, kind of passive. And I kind of got on him to start the third quarter on TV a little bit in a way. And I basically said, you're better than this. You know, like, hey, man, let's go. Let's giddy up here, right? And, you know, coming into this game, the last 2 games against Charlotte, he was just okay. And he's better than that. And he was much better. And we saw what he's capable of doing. And I think that, you know, this team gets to another gear when he's that guy, when he's playing with a lot of juice and a lot of energy. And I loved what I saw from him in the second half. That's got to be a habit. That's got to be consistent.
Jonesy, Kyle, just awesome tonight. It's hard to beat the Raptors when he plays like that, eh?
It is. And I know on the TV side, Jack and Matt had a stat about the Raptors' defensive rating with Kyle Lowry on the floor and without. And again, it's kind of like what I mentioned before with Stanley Johnson. When you got a guy playing that hard, and especially a guy who's guarding the point guard, although tonight Luka had the ball in his hands. But, Sherman always talks about it, and we always talk about it. Your defense starts at the point of attack, keeping that ball in front of you. And a guy like Kyle, his tenacity, his inexorable nature defensively just keeps coming at you. He was beat by James Johnson late in the game, peeled back, got his hands on the ball, ripped it away from him, and started to break the other way. And that's the kind of relentless nature that you need on defense. A short memory, you get beat, it's okay. Get back in your stance. Get back into the guy. Let him know that, all right, you beat me once, and if you're going to do it again, you're going to have to feel it. You're going to have to play just as hard to do it again. And again, I think that trickles down to the team. Defense is a mindset, and Kyle Lowry has that.
Sherm, Lowry's chemistry with Chris Boucher, does that surprise you how strong it is this early in the season? It's not like they played extended minutes. I mean, we're only, 11 games in or 13 games in now?
No, it's not a surprise, Randy. I think when you talk about Kyle and operating with big men, he does a very good job of utilizing big guys. He has a way of kind of just growing with them and allowing them to grow and presenting them situations that are going to be beneficial to them. You know, a lot of times we see the difference in big men. Some big men you have to spoon feed. Some big men you give the ball, give them space. I think Kyle has figured out that Chris Boucher is a guy that he can create shots for because he shoots the ball so well from the three-point line. But also, I thought Chris did a great job rolling to the basket and when he had his opportunities, attacking and getting to the front of the rim. And one thing Kyle is he's a willing passer. If you're going to make the right play, he's going to make the right play. He's unselfish, and he's a winning player, so he's going to do things that are going to elevate the team. But in this situation, particularly with the struggles they've had at the 5 spot, when you find a player like Chris Boucher who's producing at such a high level, you better feed him. If you're a good point guard and you want to win, you better feed that guy. And Kyle is a good point guard, and he definitely wants to win. So Chris Boucher is going to get a lot of opportunities.
Jack, chime in there on their relationship on the court.
Well, I echo what Sherm said. I mean, Kyle Lowry is just a winner. I mean, the guy's going to do whatever it takes to win, and if you can make plays, he's going to give it to you. If you can't make plays, he's not going to give it to you. He's smart enough to know that too. And you know, we saw this with Serge Ibaka. They developed an incredible chemistry, and we're starting to see that now with him and Boucher. Boucher, another big night, 21 points, 10 boards, 3 blocks. This young man's just playing with incredible confidence. He and Norm Powell are kind of the hired guns off the bench. You know, and we talked a lot about Stanley Johnson. OG Anunoby was great tonight too, just stout defensively. And I think each of you guys will agree with me on this. In this league, usually the best players are at that 2-3 spot, and having guys that have strength and size and lateral quickness and athleticism in Anunoby and Stanley Johnson, I think really puts the Raptors in a position where they can put the clamps on people. And when they start going smaller sometimes and they have all that switchability, they're a tough team to score on.
Jonesy, I'll go to you for this. Norm, I thought, was really, really aggressive from the jump. And obviously he's building off that season high 24 the last time out. But there was a moment there, I think it was third quarter or maybe early fourth, when he gets fouled, makes the end one, hurts his ankle because Hardaway Jr. shoved him. And then on the next defensive position, he's diving for a loose ball. That's just the kind of effort that we love to see and we need every night.
And that's how you get after it, Randy. Look, we know Norm's at his best when he's playing downhill. And I'll never forget last year before we left Utah, for the last time we actually saw the team in person, Norm Powell was coming off a Player of the Week in the Eastern Conference selection. And he is a guy that at one point last year led the NBA in terms of percentage of points scored on the fast break. He had scored something like over 400 points on the fast break. And he's he's that one-man break. He gets going downhill. He starts scoring. We know that he's a defensive guy because that's the way he gets on the floor. So when he's able to give offense, and as Jack said, kind of like that hired gun off the bench, you're going to get that from Norm. And then the confidence starts building, Randy. As I said, he's out on the floor with guys like Kyle, Boucher's blocking shots, Stanley Johnson, OG. Hey, you see the other guys sitting in their chair and playing defense. You don't want to be the weak link. So I like the way Norm's starting to play. And let's face it, the Raptors have won 3 in a row. They were 1-3 on that Western trip. They could have easily been 3-1. And I think this is a carryover with guys like Norm and Boucher and Lowry now into the rest of the team, and you're seeing that.
Herbs, quickly on Norm Powell. I don't know how you guys feel, but I thought early in the season, Norm was pressing and he was predictable. He had his head down. He made his mind up before the ball got to him, and the defense knew what he was trying to do. Now we're seeing Norm more patient, but more decisive, and his decisive moves are aggressive. And I think that's the kind of balance that Norm has struck over the last few games, and that's trickled into his defense as well. He's brought a ton of energy on that side of the ball.
Sherm, how do I get one of those love things behind your shoulder there? Just wondering.
Well, you might have to steal it, but You have to have people that actually love you. That might be difficult. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it could be difficult.
All right, okay. I just wanted to make sure. I just want to go a little something different there.
No, that's all right.
Jack, how do they keep this momentum going against the Miami Heat on Wednesday?
Randy, peace and love, man. That's the way to go. It's all about peace and love, man. How do they keep it going? I mean, this is a game of habits. You know, Sherm, Jonesy, Randy, you guys all know this. It's excellence is a habit, not an act.
Some of us more than others.
Well, I mean, you're right, but OG Anunoby talked about it post game, just about just playing harder each night and stringing longer possessions together, longer stretches together. I loved how they played tonight. I just loved their energy and their toughness and their swagger. If they play like that, they can play with anybody.
Jonesy, can we see them carry this forward?
Yes,
this is, I think, what we can expect, right?
Yeah, and this is what people expected from them, Randy. When you looked at the start, you're like, who is this team? And then again, I go back to the last couple of nights. The 2 wins over Charlotte and tonight, they were able to close out close games. Tonight was more impressive because they had a double-figure lead. They let it go. They put it back, and they said, you're not coming back again. And then you start to string 3-4 wins together. There's a confidence factor in there too. And right now, you can bet some of the guys, OG, Fred, Kyle, these guys are saying, okay, we got this thing back on track. This is what we're used to. For all you new guys, this is what we do here. So let's get with it and roll with it. And I think there's a confidence factor in there too.
I'll be real brief.
Well,
they have
10
to
seconds.
They have to do this. That's who they are. I mean, if they don't bring mojo and swagger, they're not a very good team. When they bring that, they can play with anybody. And it's subtle, but you got to have it.
Thanks, guys. Great stuff as always. See you Wednesday night. Raptors versus the Miami Heat.
Peace and love. Peace and
Hey,
love.
Randy,
Man.
that's how I feel about you.
Peace and love.
Hey, thank you. Sharing feelings mutual.
There you go, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching. You can click to watch our last episode or to subscribe to the Toronto Raptors YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode.